See, love, I ain't new to this. I'm true to this. Jay Nelson here forever. So you better get used to this. Don't hate the player, hate the game. If you don't heed the word, your life will remain the same. Ding, 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 ding. Class is in session. Let's get this word. Don't hate the player, hate the game. When it comes down to the world of trust, there's a lot of things that we don't yet understand. And to make it more simple for us to, I guess, see into the world or see past the matrix, it's a concept that's here that we need to really, really, really dive into, and that's called private living or the private life. You see, a lot of us, we're in this world where all of our business is in the public. Everything that we do is on social media. Everything that we do, that we purchase, is in someone's database somewhere around here, wherever. And everything that we do, or everything that we do in our lives, can be accessed by someone. And when that is the case, you don't live a very private life, especially in your finances. And in your finances, if that's the case and that's how you're living, you have a lot of liabilities that are there at the same time. Now, as someone who wants to move up to a different echelon of life, would it make sense to start living a little more private, especially in your finances? If you were to do that, you have a lot less liabilities, a lot less people tugging at your coattails trying to get something from you. Privacy is where you need to be. Now, with this concept in the world of trust, why is having a trust so important for your finances to really start going up and start going far? I'm gonna tell you why. You see, the rich or the well-to-do are playing a game that most of us have no understanding of. And because we have no understanding of it, we are left to be the footkeepers. The rich are playing a game that we have no understanding of. And because we have no understanding of it, we're left to just be the mops of society. Not you, not me, but that's what we used to be before we understood what it really meant to really actually live this type of life. So why having a trust is so important is because it separates liability from you. Okay, the straw man that we all have, or that we all were given in 1936. The straw man that we were all given in 1936 is tying us to a system of liability. Now, you, your grandparents, your mama, no one in their right mind would tie you to a system that would lead you to liability, right? They wouldn't do that. But unfortunately, that's the case for a lot of us. Now, how do we break out of this, and why is it so important for us to break out of it? So, in a system tied to liabilities, all you have is no mobility, right? Because you're being tied down by all types of bills that you didn't ask for. You're being tied down by a bunch of different. You're being tied down by a bunch of different responsibilities that you didn't ask for, and being tied down to a whole bunch of other things that you didn't ask for, spiritually, mentally, physically, emotionally, that you didn't ask for. Now, what is the game that they're playing that we're not able to play? Because we're living under this. Because we're living under this, there's something that's inside of this that we cannot get because we're tied to this. We don't want to keep being tied to this. We want to be tied to this, okay? So what you need to do is establish a different entity with its own EIN or its own code that you can start doing business out of. That's the purpose of having a trust. Now, once you start doing business outside of the trust, what that does is it starts freeing up the straw man. So all the strings that are being pulled to make your straw man dance, to make your straw man kick when he doesn't want to make your hands have to give when he doesn't want to, all those strings are being loosened, they're being proverbially cut, okay? Because you're now operating into a different system that is not tied to this, that's not tied to the SSN that is controlling this, okay? So what do you do now? Why they're playing a game that you don't necessarily understand. Now, we're not even going to talk about the business aspect, we're not even going to talk about the tax aspect, we're not even going to talk about all the protection that it gives you, we're not even going to talk about that, we're just going to keep the video real simple. So there's a game that's being out here being played, where because this straw man, all the liabilities and debt that it now owns, is being released from it, it now has the opportunity to start getting some privileges, right? Quote unquote privileges, right? You don't necessarily want to live your life off of these privileges, but if it gives you the ability to, while you're transitioning, free up some of the liabilities that you would have, I take them, right? Now, you don't want to live off of them forever, but while you're transitioning, you do what you need to do, right? So here's the game. While we're struggling, paying all our bills, there's people out here that are living a life where all their bills are being paid for, right? It's being paid for because they're no longer operating in liability, they're no longer operating in debt. They're operating in freedom given to you when you understand who you are and whose you are, okay? So instead of you having to foot $500 every single month to feed yourself, what they do is they establish a trust, right? In that trust, they're now operating in the EIN. So they own nothing, control everything. You've heard that concept before, right? They own nothing, but they control everything. So their strong man, right, is now freed up to start getting some of the benefits that you would have had or that you weren't able to get because you were handling all those responsibilities that weren't properly explained to you. So this is you now, okay? Before you had a trust, you weren't able to get stamps. Okay, so you were spending $500 a month. Okay, so $500 a month for food. Before you had a trust, you were spending, let's say, $150 for your phone bill. Before you had a trust, you were spending $2,000 per month on rent. Before you had a trust, you were spending, let's say, $65 per month on Wi-Fi. Before you had a trust, you were spending, say, $200, and that's on low end, for utilities. Okay, that's a whole bunch of responsibilities that you didn't necessarily ask for. You gotta do it because you want to live, right? But it's a whole bunch of responsibilities that you didn't necessarily even ask for. Now, what the well-to-do and the rich are doing, because the strong man is no longer being controlled and pulled, and they're now living inside of a trust, all these bills that you had to pay every single month are now gone. Let me say that one more time. All these bills that you were once paying every single month are now gone. Okay? So that $500, you can now pocket it in your pocket. That $2,000 per month for rent, you can now pocket it in your pocket. All those bills and responsibilities that you had to shell out money to, you can now put it in your pocket. Now, what does that give you? That gives you what's called freedom. Okay? And that freedom, you can now put money into things you want to do, like building an empire or building a kingdom. So all this money that you are now saving just by simply establishing a trust and freeing up your strongman, right? You can now put into business and longevity and kingdom. See, this is the game that most people have no idea that's out there. Okay? We're spending all of our time slaving away, not realizing that there's a game out here that people are playing that you have no idea of. But this trust is only meant for those who want to build kingdom. Okay? Now, if you want to build kingdom, comment down below, DM me, and we'll talk.